Call the meeting to order. I'll begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis people, Métis Nation. The panel today, on my far right is Ed Sawatsky, on far left on my left is Tracy Anderson. I'm Robert Buss, the chair. The assessor this morning is Kem Wong and the secretary is Katie Sutherland. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessors make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments and properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be a part of the public record.
Please state your name.
Kem Wong.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I say.
Please state your name.
Henry Dupont.
Do you swear that the evidence you're about to present is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Okay, we will begin with 15 Arden Avenue. Mr. Wong, when you're ready, please.
The subject property is 15 Arden. The roll number is 080-040-04000. It's a residential apartment block that's 9 stories high. It was built in 1970. We have an effective year built of 1990. It has 108 suites with 80 indoor parking stalls and 102 outdoor parking stalls. On page 2, there's a sales history of the subject property. It sold in 2010 for $17 million. On page 3 is our income valuation summary. We use average rents of $1,320 to get a potential income of $1,695,000. We used a 2.6% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $1,651,000. And we used a 42% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $953,000. Capped at 5%, we have an estimated market value of $19,079,000. That's approximately $178,000 per unit. On page 4 are our rent comparables. Shows that the rents that we've applied are a little bit are in the high end of the range of market. On page 5 is information on how we derived our cap rates. Our cap rates range from 4 to 7.3%. with the majority of the cap rates falling between 4.9 and 5.3%. On page 6 are some cap rate sales. The purpose of showing these individual capitalization rates is to illustrate the accuracy of the model and to substantiate the model-derived capitalization rates. They're not meant to be comparable specific to the subject property. The net operating income has been developed through stabilizing owner-reported income and expense information. Capitalization rates have been derived by dividing the property's net operating income by its sale price. On the multifamily chart is in the middle of page 6. And ranging from 4% to 6%. And on the bottom is a larger sale, 500 Portage, indicating cap rate of 4.07%. On page 8 are some pictures of the subject property with its location. Page 10, 11, 12, and 13 are the income and expenses submitted by the owner. Let's see, on page 11 and 13, the income is approximately $945,000. Which is a little bit lower than what the model is estimated at $953,000, but I would say it's pretty close. The actual performance of the subject property supports the model, and the 2010 sale of $17 million supports the model, supports the assessed value at $19,080,000. But I'd like to, I guess, revise that amount a little bit because it does include a couple parking lots on 2 separate roll numbers, and the income includes the parking income from those separate roll numbers. The other 2 roll numbers have an assessed value of $518,000. So subtracting $518,000 from the $19,080,000, the value is $18,562,000. So once again, the performance supports the model, and the sale price at $17 million supports the model. So I ask that you accept the revised value of $18,562,000.
That's your presentation. Thank you. Mr. Dupont, do you have questions of Mr. Wong?
Yes, page 3, your gross potential rent is 1695,
Yes.
and then you show the actuals with your page 10, I guess. Was 1589, so would you agree that your rents are about 100,000 too high?
Well, it appears, we can try and pick apart all the different line items and, but in the end, the operating income is supported, so I mean, we'll probably never get everything to line up perfectly. It is higher.
Your cap rate on page 3 is 5%. And then that compares to page 5. It's a high rise, so that you show the table, and the Colliers for high rise is 5 to 6, and CBRE is 5 to 5.75. So you're at the low end of the two ranges from the market reports.
Compared to those two, yes, we are right in the middle for our cap rates.
You're in the middle for our cap rate, what does that mean? You're at the bottom end of Colliers and CBRE.
Yeah, but the thing is, those are comparable organizations. The cap rates that we have, that we utilize, the 5% is in the middle, in between the 4.9 and the 5.3%.
Page 6. You list some cap rates for 5 properties. You don't have any workups as to how you arrive at those cap rates?
No.
No, the last two, Altus has, so we have cap rates in Tucson, Sun Lakeside, and 333 Ward, so we're slightly higher than you. The other 3 properties, do you know whether they were bought with the intention to renovate?
From previous hearings, I believe so. I don't know for sure.
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Swansky, any questions?
Yeah, the apartment was built in 1970, and you've given it age of 1990. What's behind the change in the age of the building?
Oh, it's been fully renovated. Yeah.
In 1990?
No, we just, it was. That's. Not in 1990, it was more recent than that, but that's the effective year built that we've applied, based off of to reflect the renovations that were done.
When were the renovations done then, if they were not 90? Last year, year before?
Approximately 2009.
I show 2007 and 2008.
Okay.
Would you
Yeah.
agree with that?
Yeah, I wouldn't, the, I guess, best note that I have in making reference to the renovations is from, actually, it's from 2008, so it would be around there.
And the renovations, you said, were extensive. What does that mean? I mean, the applicant may be able to answer that.
Well, if you look at the pictures of, on my page 9.
Okay.
You can see like the exterior of the building. That's not typical of 1970 building, so they made extensive renovations to the exterior, the envelope, and the interior as well.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, questions?
No questions, thank you.
So for the record, the renovations were done before that sale that you're showing in 2010, is that correct?
Yeah.
Did you visit the site and inspect the property?
I have not.
From your knowledge of it, would you say it's in a good location?
Yes. It is in the South San Vital area, or, I guess by Dakota and St. Mary's. By the San Vital shopping mall.
Thank you, that's all my questions. Mr. Dupont, if you'd like to take us through your information.
Rebuttal on the assessor's cap rate. And extra copies for each file.
Thank you.
Page 2, we start with number 1, we say precedent municipal board states that we should not consider cap rate derived on a sale where there was intent to renovate. And the order which I attach here states, with 4 remaining comparables, sufficient concern were raised by the appellant on 3 of them regarding the purchaser's intention to significantly renovate or alter the structures. The appellant produced evidence from the purchasers which makes the board question the use of the purchase price and income information. In essence, what we were arguing is that the assessor cap rate comparables were for properties with intention to renovate, and the purchasers do not buy based on the existing income stream because they intend to change it. So what they buy is based on purchase price plus renovation costs, and then you have the increased rents. So the cap rates on those properties tend to be on the low side. Sale number 1, so we have the appendix on each one of those. So the purchaser stated in the assessor's property sale questionnaire that the property was purchased with intent to renovate, and that the condition was fair. 2017 questionnaire shows relatively low rents of $663 for a 1-bedroom. Point number 3, the 394 Talbot, purchased with intent to renovate. There's an email from Astroy, property manager, before and after the sale, that said the property was purchased with intent to renovate. 2016 questionnaire shows rents of $537 and $653 for 1 and 2-bedroom. And then the recent website ad says totally renovated, rents of $800 and $900. So the rents went up by $300 after purchase. Point number 4, sale number 3285 Maxwell, purchase with intent to renovate. Email from the purchaser indicates intent to renovate. It confirms renovations for $113,000 and intention to raise rents over 3 years. Also enclosed a 2018 questionnaire showing that they did kitchen and bathrooms for $412,790. So that it does show in the questionnaires. 333 Ward, the last one, is our direct address is 5113. We have the full documentation supporting it and a full income approach to show how we arrived at it. So we came with a cap rate of 5.13. 277 Langside, we also have a cap rate with full supporting document and full income approach, and we're slightly higher than the assessor. So you can go through the appendix, but it would be the questionnaires and or the emails and financials that I got to show what I have in the first page. That would be rebuttal evidence for all properties here today. So for my evidence, can we go to the cap rate study first?
Maybe we should have some questions on the rebuttal. Would that be?
Oh, sure.
To do that? Is anybody, Mr. Wong, do you have a question on the rebuttal evidence that's been presented here?
No, I just have some, I guess, comments on it. If you go to their page 9 on the rebuttal submitted.
Well, comments maybe you can do in your summation or something. How would that be? If you have no
It'd be a
direct-
long summation.
If you have no direct questions. Okay, go ahead. Page 9.
I guess I'll try to keep it quick for the comments. On page 9, on the second paragraph with the, it's underlined.
Yes?
On the, I guess halfway through the underlined section in the second paragraph, it says the board does not accept, the applicant is contending that the intent to renovate disqualifies a sale, but on the halfway through the underlined portion, it says the board does not accept that any intention to renovate should disqualify a property sale.
Okay.
And in other hearings, this is a decision from for 15 Mandalay, where as part of the conclusions of that hearing, it says the board believes that no matter what the intention of the purchaser with respect to renovations, the capitalization rate at the time of sale is computed by net operating income and sale price. That would be, I guess, all my comments are about the rebuttal.
Okay. Mr. Swatsky, any questions on the rebuttal?
Yeah, one question on item number 5 on your page 2. You quoted a cap rate of 5.3 instead of 5 as used by the city. So what are you saying about the 5.13? Is that where you want to go?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like
That's
you-
one of my comparables.
Okay.
So I'm saying the assessor says it's 5%.
Yes.
I have 5.13. I have some comparables and all, or more, and then I make the,
So I should wait for your other evidence?
right.
Okay.
I just, this is just rebuttal on his,
Yes.
that he just shows the cap rate, doesn't show how he arrived at it or supporting documents. And I'm saying, we have the same property with a different cap rate.
Yeah, but the cap rate is very, the difference between 5.13 and 5.0 is very small, isn't it?
Relatively small,
Yeah.
except mine is supported and it's site specific. It has worked out, yeah.
Okay, that's the only question I have, thank you.
Questions?
No, thank you.
I have a question about an overall question. So if they're buying it to renovate, that would tell me that it's maybe in less than average condition? And then wouldn't you be using a higher cap rate if the property's not in average or above average condition?
It depends. I had one property here a week or two ago where it was, rents were maybe 100 to 200 less than normal, than average. And I used the assessor's cap rate because it was a good candidate for renovations. And one board member says, I wouldn't buy that property because it's in bad condition, right? It's deferred maintenance, so, yes, that's relatively subjective, but most of those properties that were bought with intention to renovate, not all of them are bought with intention to renovate. Because when we did cap rate there, we had comparables on our side where they bought for the existing income stream. They did not renovate after purchase, and those cap rates were higher than the assessor's cap rate where they were purchased with intention to renovate. So it was a different group. People that go there and they tend to renovate, they will pay a lower cap rate because they want to get the sale if they're competing in the market. And then they immediately do not accept the existing income stream, they change it. So not all properties are candidates for renovations. But when you use cap rate comparables, it's not fair to cherry pick the low ones because of intention to renovate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will move on to your direct evidence.
So I'd like to give a little bit of verbal evidence. So Mr. Wong quoted 15 Mandalay, where the board said that they didn't care what the intention to renovate was. Back in a long time ago, 2013. I did not accept that. I went to another property, 234 Ronald. The board went halfway in the cap rates. I appealed to the court. The court says no, it didn't work. I did not accept that. And then this last one that we had, the board agreed with us. So we settled about over 100 properties after we got that last decision. So the 15-man delay was overturned by this one on 207 Watson. And so that 15-man delay did not go anywhere. We did not settle any property at that cap rate or what they said. So we pursued, and then the last decision is what counts.
Is there information on that Watson property in your rebuttal here?
Yeah, my rebuttal is, on the rebuttal is the page 4, 207 Watson. That's what I was quoting from. And that was decision date, October 29, 2018.
I don't see mention of any Watson.
Oh,
Was
there's,
it
well,
Watson?
page 4, the property address of property 207 Watson, at the, of the rebuttal.
This is for here.
Oh, I got the wrong 4. Okay, now we're
Oh, got a different form.
at the top of the page. I was looking at the top of the page, but that's from the order. Okay, 207 Watson. Okay. Very good. We'll move on. It's been noted, and we'll move on to your evidence. Your direct evidence.
Okay, cap rate study. Now we showed that on page 1, and we showed what the assessor cap rate is and what we have. So their age category, shown in the red on the left-hand side, they have 1960, 1974. It doesn't matter whether it's low-rise or high-rise. They have 4.6, that's for small apartments, or 5.3. So majority of the apartments coming here will be 5.3. 1975 to 1997, 4.2 is for properties under 20 units, and they go 5%. And it doesn't matter whether it's low rise or high rise, that's what the assessor has. Now, I disagree with the cutoff date of 74, 75. I made the cutoff at 1979, 1980. Most apartment blocks, the highest number of apartment blocks built for the decade is in the 1970s. There's more properties, apartments built in that decade than any other. And I've come here to the board, 8 properties, and we have 1974, 1977, they all look alike. So that there's not enough difference for the properties early 70s versus the late 70s. So after coming to the board many, many times, we're having this cutoff 1975, which I disagree with. I have now changed that. So now the 1960s, 79, I have 6%. And before that, I had 75 to 97 at 6%. I dropped my cap rate to 5 3/4 from previous board hearings. But it was part of the also changing the cutoff date. Now, the page 2 shows what the cap rates were last time around and this time around. Page 3 is the cap rate comparables that I have. I have actually 9 comparables. Look in the middle, it shows year built. So there's one 1952, and that would be for the age range prior to 1960. Then the next few, we have 1966, 68, 72, 73, 74. So I think 72 to 74 cap rate comparables are good enough to compare to 1975, 79. We're relatively close there. So I didn't think it made any sense to say that we cut off at 1975, those are low cap rates. And then we have 3 new properties, 2006, 14, and 2014. Now, we have the supporting documents, and income approach on all of them. And in the far right, we have the average cap rate for new is 5.91. You can see 333 Ward is 5.13. That's the one the assessor had. We have 718 Beach at 5.42, and we have 100 Southview 5.59. So the newer built is 5.38. So that when we come here for properties built after 1998, we see 5.25. You see at the bottom of the table, that's what we have. And the average cap rate for 66 to 74 is 6.15, and we use 6%. So the cap rate shows that. So now, the page 4, we have the cap rate market reports from Colliers and CBRE. But I have Colliers unadjusted, that's what the assessor shows, and I have Colliers adjusted. Colliers calculates cap rate on their notes. They calculate cap rates by including closing costs such as land, transfer tax. See the appendix and the Colliers pro forma for 3 sales. So 3 of my comparables have the Colliers pro forma, page 25, 40, and 55. And those closing costs are calculated at 0.1%. It's not that big, but nevertheless, what they're quoting when they see 2018, 5 to 6, that's actually 5.1 to 6.1. That's adjusted. And the change that we have from the 2016, which is the previous reference date, they were 4 3/4 to 5 3/4, and now 5 to 6, so they went up 0.25% on the low and the high end. On the low rise, the low end went up 0%, but the high end went up 25. Just before it was 5 to 5.75, then now 5 to 6. So the increase the high end. And then the CBRE, they said the same cap rate as last time. Now they do a low rise, they break it down between the low rise A and B, and the low rise B is 5.75 to 6. They don't say what the low rise B is, but I would assume that low rise A would be those built after 1997. And the assessor says the high rise and low rise are the same, so using that, then the virtual apartment blocks coming in front here should be 5.75. Now, page 6 and 7, you'll see that these are workups that I have, and they show each of the years, etc. Now we can maybe jump to page 11, 2779 line side. That's one of the assessor's comparables. So we had actual 2015, 2016, 2017. We have a pro forma, which is from the vendor's agent. And then what we stabilized that. So we stabilized at the line 2, the rent on the pro forma, which are higher than the actual rent 2017. So the pro forma recognized some of the rents increases. Since then, we stabilized each individual expenses, and then we divide by sale price. We got a cap rate of 6.12. And then each property is at 279 side. Page 25, it says where the Colliers. Page 25 is your pro forma from Colliers. 210 St. Mary's. And you see at the bottom, you have offering price $930, and this is plus rentable land transfer tax, $16,000. So the total investment is $946. So when you do their NOI, stabilized NOI, it comes to a cap rate, their cap rate, but the difference is 0.10%. So we have three pro formas in our submission here in that regards. Page 78 is the one of the largest and newest properties that we have. That was built at South Point, and we have the data, page 79, 80, etc. So it was marshaled by CBRE. It shows the descriptions there. So at the bottom of page 81, so they were asking for 5.4%. So that's what the agent was asking, based on their calculation. And we're asking for 38,800,000, and I believe it's sold for 38,000,000
We don't quite have it following you here.
Yeah, we have 79, 88, 82. So I'm not sure, there's 81 is missing, is that what you're referencing?
I've got it.
You got 81?
Yeah.
Okay.
79, 80, 81,
I think it's
82.
on- Yeah, I'm sorry.
This? It's here.
Yeah.
Okay.
88 got somehow missed up there.
Oh, 88?
Got it.
We're going further? Oh, okay. I've added some pages over time. But at the bottom of page 81, it shows that they were asking, agent was asking 5.4% based on their stabilization. And I showed their stabilization in my workup, and then what I stabilized at myself, and then page 83 is at the board revision, Paratax came and they showed their particular version of what they would have. Now, what I've added actually is, oh yeah, I restart 82, 83, 84, then I have 84, A, B, and C. I've added extra pages to this. So page 14 on that one, it shows what the assessor had, what the fair tax appeal had, what the pro forma was, and what I stabilized at, so that I show all that evidence in there. So I have, in the end, I have 9 comparables. I have, for that category, we have 5 sales, 66 to 74. We have supporting documents, and we're within the ranges of the CBRE and Colliers. So I believe our evidence is relatively strong on the cap rate. And if you don't mind, I'll move to my report.
Yes. Go right ahead.
15 Arden, page 1, we're asking for 15,642,000. Then we show page 2, the 2 parking lots, which the assessor now agrees to, which to deduct off the value. Page 3 shows the location. St. Paul near Bishop Grandin. So page 6, the cap rate. So the property built 1970 with an effective year built 1990. So on our table, page 6, is that the 75 or 1980 to 1997 is 5.75, and that's what we're asking for. Page 7 is our spreadsheet. Now it shows at the bottom sold May 3rd, 2010 for 17 million, including the 2 parking lots, and I have a lower value now. It says high vacancy after purchase, and I should have brought it to you, but we had a municipal board decision on the 2012 appeal based on April 1st, 2010 value. The evidence was the rent roll as of April 30th, 2010, where the vacancy was relatively high. I think it was like 15%. So what happened on this property is that they fixed it, they increased the rents just before they sold it, and the buyer bought it with a normal vacancy of 2-3%. They were not aware, but by the time they took over possession, they had a high vacancy. So the high rents that they had put in there were not accepted by the market, so they overpaid. And that the municipal board accepted my rent roll of April 30th. It was 30 days after the reference date, but they're saying April 30th is actually rents effect April 1st. So I should have brought that, but nevertheless, I'm telling you that they bought it with new rents, and then they found out that on possession date, they had much higher vacancy. So page 7, it shows that the rents of 2013, what they have now, they raised the rents, line 1, from 1,567 to 1,611, and the vacancy 2013 was 2.8, and then 2015 it went up to 10%. So then 2016 they dropped the rents down because the market was not accepting it. The vacancy went down to 2.8. And 2017 the rents are 1,589 and 2.5% vacancy. So the owners tested the market, trying to get as much rent as possible. Now the average rent that we have on line 3 is the 2017 rent. 1,576 was $1,228 per suite per month. Now I forgot to ask the assessor, but his 4 comparables were around $1,000 per suite per month. So his rents were not supported by his own analysis. And so we have really, really high rents for in 1970 even or 1990. Most high rises would have rents around the 1,000, 1,100. So we stabilized a fairly normal way after the income part. So we had the laundry and the parking is up at 2017. We use 2017 expenses for the insurance, utilities and taxes and caretaker. Those are normal, standard. Where we use the 2017, we use the average and items that tend to vary a lot, like the line 17, sundry. So it was 21,000 in 2017, but we dropped it to 14 by using 3-year average. Advertising and leasing, the 3-year average is 18,000. But that's because they had a high year, 2015, where were pushing the rents and they got the high vacancy. So we did not stabilize at the 3-year average. Our normal is 3-year average, but this one we use the 2017 advertising. And waste and snow, that tends to vary with the weather, and that's why we go with a 3-year average. So the repair and maintenance, we have 5 years, and we stabilize at the 5 years, which is $914 per suite. And that is very low. Most high rises that we have in a repair and maintenance study. They're between $1,500 to $2,000 per suite. And the reason we go 914 is because it's site specific, and the reason they have lower repair and maintenance because it was renovated. So they have less, but renovated in 2007 and 8, so by 2018, it's 10-year-old, so their carpets are 10-year-old, their flooring is 10-year-old, their appliances 10-year-old. So their repair and maintenance will now start going up and come to similar to other apartments. But for now, we're stabilizing at the site-specific 914 is probably the lowest repair and maintenance I have today. So when we divide by the cap rate, 5.75, it comes to 16,159,000 divided by less the parking lots, comes to 15,641,000. In the appendix, we have page 11. is it 2017, so you can see the residential revenues, 1,589. They have the vacancy shown, but they also have free rent, 12,403, which we deduct on our page. Then we show that the NSF damages, etc. We show that in our line 12. Page 12 is still 2017, and that's the repair maintenance. We removed the landscaping and snow, waste and snow. We show that in our own category. So we have these statements for each of the years going back. And then page 21 is shows the assessment of this property. 22 is the map and the two parking lots next door shown with the roll numbers, which we deduct from the value which the assessor also does. So that's my submission.
Thank you. Mr. Dupont. Mr. Wong, you have questions of Mr. Dupont?
Just, I guess, with regards to the cap rate setting. Go to, I guess, page 12 for 333 Ward. For the effective gross income, you stabilize at 1,571,000, or sorry, 1,639,000.
Oh, yeah, effective gross income, yes.
Yeah. Their income has been pretty stable for 13, 14, and 15, but their income is actually 1,622,000. There's about a $17,000 difference between what they took in and what you're stabilizing at. Why did you?
I have it in red that the Colliers, when they had their pro forma, they had the rent roll as of September 15, 2015. That was before the sale, and they bought it on January 15, 2016. So we used rents that they had, the rent roll that they had September 15, 2015.
Okay. There's about a $17,000 difference between what you stabilized at and what they took in for 2015.
Yeah, and the whole thing is the difference in the rent roll that we use.
Okay. And for, I guess, your waste and snow removal, that's line number 25.
Right.
It was 30,000 for 2013, 20,000 or 19,000 for 2014. Basically, the average is about 20,000, and you use 10,000.
Yes, downward trend, and 30,000 per year seems quite high.
But the difference between the, say, average is about $10,000, and what you've stabilized at.
Right, we have to make a choice, and I made a choice on the waste and snow, and I stabilized it the last year.
Okay. So if you would have stabilized, in total, in terms of the difference between the income and the waste and snow removal, that works out to about a $27,000 difference. If the NOI was $27,000 lower, would the cap rate be about 5%?
Oh, mathematically, yes, if you change how I stabilize things, yes. But I believe that using the rents and the pro forma, which we have on page 60, is the right thing to do. So I believe I stabilize properly for both the potential gross income and the waste and snow.
be all our questions.
Thank you. Mr. Swansky, do you have any questions?
Well, let's start with the cap rate study. You indicated that in the '70s decade, there was more apartments built than any other decade, right?
Right.
And so you changed the category,
Cutoff date, yeah.
the cutoff date. And from 60 to 74, you changed it from 60 to 79.
Right.
That's only 5 years difference. Why would that make such a big difference in your mind? The category they have versus the one you changed?
Because I believe the statistics was the 700 apartments built. The assessors, which I have in my newer cap rate study, probably something like 1,000 apartment blocks built in that decade, and pretty much all the same. They're all very similar. In 1980, we have some properties where the fridge and stoves were 30-inch wide, and prior to that, they were 24-inch wide. So the 70s, people that buy that, they're stuck usually with a 24-inch stove, the small apartment fridge. So that was a major change. It's different. So we went to that exercise, but I've come here in front of this board many times, and they're all 1970s, and we have half at the one cap rate, the other half at the other cap rate, and they're all similar. So I never liked it in the past, that they had to cut off 1975, but now I've changed it this year. It's only 4 years, you could say, but there's a lot of apartment blocks in those 4 years, or
Yeah.
5 years.
Really? Okay. I wasn't aware of that. Now, on your submission, can you confirm what your NOI is for this property? Look, when I look at your pages, there's a number of different pages and I get confused.
For this property, it's on page 7. My line 33,
So it's 929-1181?
929181, yes. Versus the assessor's 953, so we're not that far off.
Yeah.
But we're site specific, and their rents are assessor's rent is higher than actual. So our line 13, we're 6,000 less, which is not that much after all. So I guess the biggest fight is in the cap rate, but we do have 35,000 difference in NOI.
So the carpets are 10 years old.
Yes,
Is there renovations coming?
they're coming, yeah. But I've taken the position, we go with site-specific repair and maintenance. Somebody buying now would say, repair and maintenance is likely going to increase in the future, but we don't know when exactly, et cetera, and the rents will likely increase. So instead of speculating to the future, I use a 5-year R&M.
Thank you.
Okay. Tracy?
I have no question.
I'll continue with that repair and maintenance. The 1 year has really skewed it. 2014 at 151,000. That's kind of pulled it out of line for the other 6 years. 1 year. Would you agree with that?
Yep, yeah, that one is higher. 2014, I don't know if we have a breakdown of that. That's page 17, is it 2014? They don't break down the repair and maintenance with,
When one is outside of the parameters so much, would you be better off to just leave that one out?
we sometimes do that. And this time we did not do that because the repair and maintenance is low per suite to start with. I do have a repair and maintenance study also, which I should present for this property. Yeah, that would be, that's a judgment call. And quite often, we do exclude the high year, or sometimes we exclude the low year. This one I did not because it's only 914 per suite.
Did you inspect the property?
No.
Would you agree, I had asked the assessor if he thought this was a good location, he said yes, South St. Vital.
Yes, it's a good location, yes.
So your cap rate study, none of the buildings are a high-rise, and most of them are, say the three that I think we picked out from the 70s, Balmoral, Laverandre, and Langside, they would be a lesser location than the subject property?
Well, Laverandre is in St. Boniface, so it would be a similar location. So St. Boniface is a good location. Balmoral and Langside, they're not in the area where the assessor gives a higher cap rate. The assessor gives it for North End.
Yes.
So that when the assessor comes here for properties, they find no difference in location as we have in there, so that all these locations are pretty much the same. Part of the location is captured in the rents that they have, and the cap rate should capture location risk, so there would be risk in the North End for sure. So it may not be an extra risk in the Balmoral Langside.
Would you agree with me that the 333 Ward would be the closest in terms of location?
Oh, yes, but that is not relevant, because it's built in 2006.
How about-
We don't have enough cap rate. If we had 5 cap rates in St. Vital's and 5 in this area and 5, we don't have that many cap rates, so that we don't adjust for that, so that Ward Beach and Southview, they're all locations where the assessor does not give a cap rate premium. And so is all my comparables are in locations where the assessor does not give a cap rate premium.
Over time in this board, I've heard the expression, not investment grade. They refer to maybe even industrial properties or something that are small and big time investors wouldn't invest. Would you agree with me that just about all of your comparisons would fall under that category of not investment grade?
I believe 333 Ward and 100 Southview could be investment grade. 100 Southview is $38 million. How many people can afford that?
Yes.
And Ward is 18 million. So those are 2 large properties. Investment grade could be purchases by national companies. And in the old days, maybe life insurance companies, pension funds would buy only the best. They would not go below a high rise, they would never buy a walk-up. And it was
6
land
suites
also.
or something, yes.
But no, that's not the market. There's very little purchases of apartments by national companies. Life insurance companies, pension funds don't buy apartment blocks anymore, certainly not in Winnipeg. What you would see for investment grade would be the REITs, maybe artist REIT, et cetera, buying, that would be investment grade. But that is relatively rare to get investment grade for apartments.
Okay.
That would be a Class A apartment.
And but subject property is a high rise, what you would consider a high rise. How many stories is it?
9 stories.
9 stories.
Yes, 9 stories.
That's all my questions. So, the summation, would you like to add?
I'd like to, I guess, present some additional rebuttal information.
Oh, no, I have a repair and maintenance study, so I go
Okay.
through that.
Okay. Sure.
Okay, will you finish your repair main with?
So I have the repair and maintenance study.
Okay,
So we started this with every property that I had come here in front of the board. So there's no cherry picking. Every property that I had at this board is on this list. We don't have the properties of this hearing or the previous hearing because we didn't have time to put them. On page one, so the properties that we have, it's like 4, 1, etc. There's 6 to 9 properties in there. The average we have maybe is 4 years, so it's 70 properties times 4 years, 280 units that we have in our averages. Top, it shows the rents for CMHC, because part of our argument is that when you have high R&M, you usually have high rents to match. Unless it's renovated, totally renovated, then their repairments go down. So that's why we have categories of certain age, whether it's renovated or not. Then we show the average rent, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and we, on top of the average 1 and 2 bedrooms, so the 60 is 74 at 989, average 1 and 2 bedroom, and 75 to 89 is 992. 1990 plus 1,076 and 2005 plus at 1,292. So the most low rises would be below the 1,000 average rent. You know, there are some that are lower and some that are higher, and the higher ones would be renovated or extremely well kept. So the ones that have the most is the 17 properties. That's high rise, 1946, 1979. So 17 properties, and the actual R&M per suite is 2245, 2,245. We stabilize at 1846, and here we stabilize only 900. The average rent, Altus potential rents after discounts was 1,040. We also have that on a per room basis, so it's more accurate depending on the suite mix. Everybody thinks on a per suite basis. The other group with lots of properties is the low rise 6279, 23 properties. The actual R&M for those 23 properties is 1583, and we stabilize at 1438. And the average rent for those is 839. So you can see they have lower rents, and that's matching with the lower R&M than the high rises. Now on top, 1998, there's 4 properties, and the R&M is actual 874, so because they're newer properties, and they had high rents of 1240. So it's because of their age. And then 1998 renovated is only 1. R&M was really low, 67. That's what we stabilized at, and had rents of 957. Now the properties are the individual list for each property, and we have the high categories, page 11. This is the list of all the properties that we had. It shows the years built and the addresses, etc. Number of suites. It shows number of years average right in the middle, 3 to 5. Most of them are 5. There's a few 3, and usually we use 5 when we have the data. And it shows what the actual R&M was for that period. So that for 3 years, the first one at 1476 per suite. The last one on Jefferson at 1837 per suite. But the rents on that last one was 1,017, which is higher than a lot of the other rents that we had there. So a lot of it would be where they are and the physical condition. So the different owners and different properties will have different levels of renovations, upgrades, or upkeep. And that would be matching the rents with the repair and maintenance. And the other category of lots of properties is page 6, was the high rises. The addresses are cut off there on my page anyway. The last one is 333 Wellington Crescent. The actual R&M was 333.66 per suite. We stabilized at 25.87. And the rents they had on there was 13.17, so they had really, really high rent. But they got those high rents because they were spending a lot of money. It's on Wellington Crescent. It's the oldest apartment block, high-rise in Winnipeg, but with the Wellington address location, we can get the high rents. That was matched by the high repair maintenance. And you can see on line 6 that all the rents are the third last columns. There's a lot of them over 1,000 per suite, so they're maintaining those rents by having the high repair and maintenance. So we get averages, but in the end, we don't stabilize that average. Because all these properties that we have on line 1, we show the actuals, but then we show the stabilized R&M, which are all site specific. So we show you the average, but we say that we do not use averages. We're site specific at all times. Thank you.
Okay. And is there any questions on the specific repair and maintenance study, Mr. Wong?
So by the looks of it on your page 1, is the average repair and maintenance just as a overall about 1,400 per unit?
For all types?
Yeah, like as an overall.
I don't know what it is, and I wouldn't use that,
Okay.
because you're mixing different types of properties, and so that's not relevant to anything.
That would be all my questions.
Okay. Panel members?
No questions.
Questions? I don't have any questions on repair and maintenance, so Mr. Wong, if you would like to present the rebuttal for the rebuttal? Thank you.
Showing the difference between the repair and maintenance used in the cap rate study and in the subject properties in today's hearing. The repair and maintenance used in the cap rate studies averaging approximately $629 a unit, whereas the repair and maintenance used in the subject properties are $1,570 per unit. So they should be similar, but in this case, there's a pretty big difference between them. Like any of the repair and maintenance used to derive a cap rate study should be similar to what the repair and maintenance would be for valuation. Should be similar, but in this case, it's pretty different. And it might show in the, so it's either potentially the cap rates are too high. If they use like a more normal repair and maintenance at say 1,400 or 1,500, the cap rates in the applicant's cap rate study would actually range about 4.6 to 5.5%, so which is very much where the department is at, and maybe the difference is maybe their cap rate being too high or their repair and maintenance being a little bit too low. It bears out in their values, and as you can see in the bottom part of the page, the values, every single one of the 2020 requested values is actually lower than what it was in the previous in the previous cycle, in the 2008 cycle. And, you know, I can understand where if it was one or two, it might, you know, it happens. But in this case, I think the fact that all of them are lower than what it was previously, it's just an indication that maybe the cap rates are too high, or the repair maintenance being utilized is a little bit too high for the valuation portion of what we're doing here.
Thank you. Mr. Dupont, would you like to have any questions for
Yeah, I have
Mr.
questions
Wall?
on that. So the average repair maintenance for today's properties is $1,570. Now, are you saying it would be fair to increase the repair maintenance from 15 Arden that we have now from $914 to $1,570? Is that your point?
Yeah, I would say that would be fair if you in turn applied that 1,500 to the cap rate study, which would actually bring the cap rate down. I think that would be fair.
So why shouldn't I use the 629 repair and maintenance for subject properties?
I'm just saying they should be, like, you know, when you're determining the repair and maintenance for a cap rate study, the repair and maintenance should be similar to what the repair and maintenance would be for the purposes of for valuation, and so I feel they should be similar.
So for 329 St. Anne's, the actual repair maintenance is 1160, or is this my stabilized or the actual?
That would be in your submission.
So it's my stabilized. So would you say that we should increase the 329 St. Anne's repair maintenance from 1160 to 1570?
Oh, maybe if you in turn increase the repair and maintenance for the cap rate study portion of it, they should be similar.
No, I'm saying, forget the cap rate. To stabilize repair and maintenance, what's the purpose of the average? Are you saying the high one should be brought down to the average and the low one brought up to the average?
No, I'm saying that the repair and maintenance for the cap rate study should be similar to the valuation portion.
Are you saying I should be using 1570 repair and maintenance for all the cap rate comparables and forget the site specific?
I'm just saying they should be similar, and they're pretty different.
And you're just saying, is that what you're saying, that I should be using 1570 for the cap rate comparables?
They should be similar.
Now, at the municipal board for 2012-2014, we settled about 200 properties in the last year, is that correct?
I'm not sure about that number.
Did any of those 200 properties were any settled at an average repair and maintenance, or were they all site-specific?
I can't say. I don't know.
Would you agree that most of them were site-specific?
Potentially.
Would you agree the assessor had never presented to the board average R&M, and that your position was to use average R&M for any category?
I'm not sure what that has to do with this.
Well, you're making a point here, but we just settled 200 properties where we never used average repair and maintenance, so I'm not sure. I'm saying that you're being inconsistent with the assessor's own position when they go site-specific at the municipal board. Now, the 2018 values, I used to show the previous assessment for every hearing that we had here at the Board of Revision. We stopped doing that last year because the board said that it's not relevant, and the assessor said it's not relevant. I was wasting people's time by coming up with the previous assessment. Would you agree that it's not proper to show a 2018 value unless you show how it was arrived at, and why, what the facts were for 2018 versus what the facts were for 2020?
Well, typically yes, but in this particular case, it just looked fairly strange that it just so happened that all the values are actually lower, and so I just wanted to point that out.
And part of this, you're not showing the income approach that we had for 2018, so it's hard to see the differences as to why a property would go down in value or not.
That's not, it's just showing that the values are, all of them are lower. That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying that the 2020 value should be some kind of ratio to the 2018?
I'm thinking typically over the past 20 years, the market has pretty much gone up. And, from my observations, the market has not gone down.
No, Collier's cap rate showed that their cap rates increased by 0.25% for the highs and lows. Would you agree that would cause the value to go down from 2018 to 2020? With a higher cap rate?
A higher cap rate does make the value go down, yes.
That's all the question I have on that.
Thank you. Mr. Swansky?
No questions, thanks.
Ms. Anderson, no questions?
Thank you, sir.
Is there an overall percentage number that multifamily increased from 2018 to 2020?
I think it was it might have been about 15%,
15?
15?
maybe, yeah.
Oh, that's why we have so many appeals.
But to follow up on Mr. Dupont's question, there is no ratio that you use to get from 2018 to 2020?
No, it is based off of the incomes.
Thank you. That's all my questions. So that concludes 15 Arden. believe.
Did you ask questions on my report? You did, eh? Or not?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can do that.
Yeah. I think we're pretty much done, except for maybe a summation.
Yes, sorry. Yes. We'll start with you, Mr. Wong. Would you like to give us a summation of?
Sure. I'd just like to say for this particular property, the actual performance supports the model. The $17 million sale supports the assessed value in it. And the most comparable cap rate is maybe 333 Ward, which is at 5%. So that supports the cap rate that we've used. And in the end, we're trying to get an accurate estimate of value, and I believe that all the information that we provided supports the assessed value, and I ask that you accept a revised value of $18,562,000.
Thank you. And Mr. Dupont?
The assessor's cap rate for 1998 plus is 5%. Then up to 1960 to 74 is 5.3%. I don't think we should be giving the same cap rate for 333 Ward 2006 to probably 1990 effective and actual age 1970. So it's not a proper comparison. Now repair and maintenance, we've gone site specific for the cap rate comparable. We've gone site specific for each property we bring in front of you. We've never used averages. I would say never. I've never gone to the municipal board where we were settling based on averages or presenting on averages. Always been site specific. And for the 200 settlements we had in the last year, for 2012, 2014, the assessor would go site specific on all properties, showing 3 to 5 years, and all of them were doing similar to me, stabilizing on a site specific basis. So I don't think it's proper for the assessor to go here and say, the repair maintenance on one property is different than another. We have to go site specific on each one. And I will never agree to any averages. I may agree to maximums. You can say, well, it averages 3,000 per suite. We're not gonna go 3,000 per suite. But I never go with averages, never will. Also, we don't show the previous assessment now. We used to for 2018. We stopped in the middle stream because we had some board members saying it's too much information. Because I would show the previous assessment and I'd say, no, utilities increase, taxes increase, repair and maintenance this, and it would show all the difference. That's why we have a different value for this year versus that year. And the board said, that's last time. Why do we care? And then the assessor said the same thing to me. He said, why are you showing your previous year? You're wasting your time. So I stopped using it. So now he's bringing that up because I have lower values, apparently, on all of them, or some of them. I don't look at previous assessments anymore. I used to, but the board and the assessor told me not to. So we should not be doing anything relating to 2018. Now, if you have decisions that match the 2018 assessment, far from my value, I will just appeal. It's happened in the past, where the board decides on the value, same as last time. That doesn't work, we should go site-specific each and every time. And previous assessment should not be any consideration whatsoever. And cap rate comparables, we have cap rate comparables. The assessor has none, they don't show, they have some, but they don't show the workup. 3 or renovated property, 2 are properties that we have, where we have supporting documents, we have slightly higher cap rates than that. And 277 Langside is 6%, whatever, and supports our cap rate to start with. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes 15 Arden, and we'll take a short break. Okay, we'll call the hearing back to order, and we will begin with 1106 St. Mary's Road.
The subject property is 1106 St. Mary's Road. The roll number is 080-040-12000. It's a residential apartment block that's 9 stories high. It's built in 1968, and it has 68 suites with 25 indoor parking stalls and 41 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is our income valuation summary. We use average rents of $1,179 to get a potential income of $962,000. We use a 2.6% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $937,000. There's a 45% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $515,000. Capped at 5.3%, we have an estimated market value of $9,731,000, approximately $143,000 per unit. On page 4 are our rent comparables, and the rents we've used are in line with what's on the market. On the bottom, page 4 are some repair and maintenance comparables, showing an average of $1,224. On page 5 is a summary of the income and expenses. On page 5 is a summary of the income and expenses for 2017. Their income was $923,000, and their expenses were $573,000. The repair and maintenance was $254,000 for 2017. It's pretty high considering that there's 68 units. That'd be over. That'd be about $3,500 per unit. So removing the repair, it's likely to include capital. Removing the repair and maintenance as is, and putting the repair and maintenance back in at a market level of $1,224. Their operating expenses are $401,000, giving an NOI of $521,000 for 2017. To give you an estimate of their operating income, we use their 2017 income of $923,000. Average the adjusted expenses at $408,000, giving a stabilized NOI of $514,000, which is pretty much exactly the same as what the model is estimated at $515,000. On page 6 is information on how we derived our cap rates. On page 7 are some cap rate sales. On page 9 is a picture of the subject property with its location. On page 10 are some pictures of the subject property from their website. 11 and 12 are the income and expenses submitted by the owner. The repair and maintenance, Globe Management, they typically, I guess, lump all their capital expenditures and repairs into maintenance and decorating. So, when you adjust their repair and maintenance, it supports the model, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $9,731,000.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dupont, do you have questions of Mr. Wong?
Yeah, so page 3, that's your model. And the effective gross income was 937, 734. And on page 5, you're now showing 923, 094. So are you accepting that your AGI should go down?
Well, the operating income is similar, so just like I said, to try to match up each individual line item is, be kind of difficult, but if you look at the operating income, it is supportive of the model.
Now, bottom of page 4, you show some properties, you get a average repair and maintenance, and that's what you apply to subject 1224 per suite, is that correct?
Yes, the repair and maintenance that was provided by the owner, it does include capital, but that was all that was provided, so so I provided an estimate of the repair and maintenance and applied that to their expenses to get an idea of what their operating income would be.
So on page 4, the repair and maintenance per unit, is that a particular year or an average, or
The 2017, 1 year.
Any of those renovated properties?
I'm not sure.
So now you apply the 1224 you got from other apartments to this one, so would you agree that it's not site specific once you use somebody else's repair and maintenance?
Well, I would have looked more closely at the subject property, but it wasn't provided.
Oh, I realize you didn't go site specific because of that, but would you agree that 1224 average is something that belongs to other properties, not necessarily to subject?
It is, I believe it's representative of a market level of repair and maintenance.
All right, so 1224 is what you think is average, and I believe you applied that to other apartments here today.
Yeah.
Now, this property is built 1968, so that you have a 5.2% cap rate from that.
Yes.
So, questions?
Thank you. Mr. Sawatsky, questions?
This is model driven.
I believe so, yes.
Have you seen the site?
I have not inspected the property.
When was it last inspected?
I don't have any notes on an inspection.
Is it in a good location?
Yes, it's in the same location as the previous property by Snavatel Shopping Center.
And of your comparables, which one most closely resembles the subject property?
Which comparables?
Yes, which comparables? You've got 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Oh,
Which question, your.
The rents.
Oh, for the rents?
Yeah.
For the rents, okay. I mean, they're all, I would say they're all reasonably comparable in the sense that they are taller buildings, built in the same time frame, and in the south end of the city. I think they were all reasonably comparable.
Okay. Thank you, that's the questions I have.
Thank you. I don't have any questions. So we'll hear from you, Mr. Dupont.
Rebuttal on the assessor R&M.
Okay.
I have appendix in regards to each of the comparables, but I have the arguments on top of the page 1. The assessor does not give the addresses. They don't have addresses and we can't investigate. Now, we did investigate, took us a long time to figure out which properties they were. We had actually to go on certain streets like Belleville and look at each and every apartment block to try to guess how many had so many suites, etc. And is it actual R&M, is it stabilized R&M? Did the property have renovations? And if so, when? Is the R&M an average or a certain year? 2 or 5 year average is a standard. What is the level of income? Higher R&M could be due to higher rents and lower R&M could be due to lower rents, low-rise or recent renovations. What type of property? Low-rise, high-rise, garden, wood, masonry. Low-rise masonry tend to have the lowest R&M per suite. Application of averages of other properties is not site-specific. So the first comparable, assessor comparable number 2. His comparable number 1 is low, 475 or something, and it's not part of his average. So I'm not going to talk much about it. And that's 270 Belleville is a 3-story, medium rents of $886. Assessor uses 2016 and 2017 average, which is $10.99 per suite. Skewing results but only 2 years, including the lowest of 5 years, 2016. The 3-year average is $12.81 per suite, and the 5-year average is $14.06 per suite. So he's chosen the 2 lowest years. Assessor comparable number 3 is the 130 Belleville, 2 12-story building. Medium rents $960 for a high-rise. Appears not renovated, so we had the website, etc. We obtained the file from the Board of Revision. Assessor uses 2017 R&M, which is $15.96 per suite, which is 1 year only. The 3-year R&M is $15.74, which is not far off, but would be more accurate. This comparable does not support the assessor's use of 1224 for all types of apartments, so that one is on the higher side. As for property with the median rents is below 1,000. There was a settlement of the 2020 assessment, which appears based on the applicant's NOI and 5.5 cap rate. The applicant's stabilized R&M was 2-year average of $15.74, indicating the assessor was willing to settle the site-specific R&M of $15.74 per suite, much higher than the present $12.24. So on this property, they're settling at a site-specific $15.74. Assessor comparable number 4, 660 Dakota, 6-story with elevator, major renovation in 2010 with subsequent upgrades in 2012 supplement. The 2012 supplement increased it by $4 million, or about $46,000 per suite, so it's a significant renovation. Potential rents after discounts increased from $608 in 2010 to $1,010 in 2017, so about $400 increase in rents. Assessors using 2016 R&M, which not 2017. It's the lowest of 3 years. And based on less accurate handwritten questionnaires, and lower R&M is due to the renovations. So the appendix, page 3, I show his comparables and I show what they are. So 270 Belleville, which we had to investigate. It's 2016, 2017 it shows, but the 5-year average is 1406. The 130 Belleville, they used 2017 versus 3 years, 1575, and versus the settlement in 1575. And the quota was a 2016, and it's a renovated property. So page 4, that was a property of ours. So line 27, the repair and maintenance. The hearing is coming up November 14. We show the line 27, the lowest repair and maintenance is 2016, and then it goes back up. And the 2013-17 is 49,000, which we stabilized at 29,000. We stabilized at 1406. And it shows in yellow the assessor's average is 1099, which is 2 years only, so it captures the low 2016. And the 5-year or 3-year average 1517 is 1281. And then the last line is the R&M per suite, 1676, 1510, 1600, 790, then back up to 1408. So he chose the low year in his average. And then the page 5 is the 130 Belleville, and that's a competitor of ours that came to the board revision here. So he was showing the repair and maintenance, line 26, 1574, and he shows the 3 years, and he stabilized at 3 years. So they had a settlement at 22,428,000, and that works to the applicant's NOI and a 5.5 cap rate. And there's a settlement on the next page. And the assessor's report, start on page 8 and 9, and then the page 10 is the questionnaire that it had in 2017, and it's 1395. And that's what the assessor chose. Now, this particular comparable does not support the 1224. Page 11, it shows the description of the 130 Belleville, and nowhere in the description do you see that it was renovated, so it was not renovated. Page 12, 660, the quota. It shows renovated 1978, and I show the 2010, 2011 income, 685, then it jumped to 876. And then by 2017, it's 1,239,000, so it has high rents of 1099. Now we stabilize at the actual rent 2017, but the repair and maintenance, line 27. I show repair and maintenance from the handwritten questionnaires, which is 136, 91, and 99. And the assessor has the 91,870, so he's chose the lowest year based on the 3 years. However, we got the financial statements, which gives a detailed breakdown. And the actual 2016 was 74,000, but the 3 years were 94,000, which is 1,000 some a suite, and that's what we settled at. That's what we stabilized at, sorry. So it was renovated in as it remarks at the bottom, renovated in 2010. Rents are increased in 2011 by 27.8%, and another 42% by 2017. Assessor issued a sub in 2012. They had balcony railings 2016 and roof. Now it says the R&M is different as we categorize items, excluding CapEx. And the maintenance wages is R&M. And not caretaker, so the handwritten questionnaires was taking the maintenance R&M, putting it onto caretaker. So they were overstating caretaker and understating repair and maintenance. And we have the data on that, the next page, 13, 14, that's the handwritten questionnaires. And then we have page 16, we have the actual income statement. And then we show page 17, the repair maintenance. We disallowed the roof that it had there. And page 18, they have total wages, 26,000, and there's only 23,000 as caretaker. The rest are appliance repairs, windows, draperies, salaries they paid for repair and maintenance. So we show that as repair and maintenance. The caretaker above 54,000 included 14,000 repair and maintenance. So that we show that as repair and maintenance, and the owner on page 13. The caretaker is 77,000. And so they were including the maintenance wages. Anyways, we categorized, we have more accurate information than what the assessor had. And then the bottom, page 20, Belleville House. It says recently renovated throughout, upgraded kitchen, new cabinets, countertops, appliances, bathroom, new flooring, lighting throughout. It's a bit small, so I reprinted it at page 21. So that's the section not comparable, 660 Dakota, fully renovated. So it has low R&M of 977, mainly because it was substantially renovated. So that's my rebuttal.
Questions on the rebuttal?
Do you know if all the information you provided here was available to the department, to the department? Are you using some information that might not have been available
For 660 Dakota?
for all the properties?
Well, the settlement on Belleville, which is your second comparable, 130 Belleville. I don't know what, the client, yeah, they had the questionnaire 1595 for 2017, so they would have a similar questionnaire for the other 2 years. And then page 6, 1574 is the 3-year average, and that's what you settled at. 270 Belleville, which is ash management, and they provide data all the time, so I would think the assessor would have that. And the last one, 660 Dakota, I showed that you had on page 12, you had the questionnaire data, 136,000 repair maintenance for 2015, 99,000 for 2017, yet you used 91,000. So based on the data you had, you chose the lowest year.
Yeah, I was just saying if, like, for Dakota, I'm not sure if we had the exact same information.
But
I guess
matches-
I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
Dakota, you said 91,869, and the handwritten questionnaire is 91,870.
Okay. Mr. Sawatsky, questions on this rebuttal? I have none either, so we'll move on to your evidence. Please.
Okay. Uh, 1106 St. Mary's, page 1, shows the photo, the high-rise, 9.5 stories. Page 2 shows the aerial photo, and page 3 shows the map. So it's South St. Vital, which is a good location, but so is most other locations in the city. Only North End has a cap rate premium as per the assessor. Page 5, we're seeing the burden proofs on the assessor, and it should be site specific. Page 6, property is built 1968, So the cap rate that we have is from 1960 to 1979 is 6%. That's from our cap rate study. 1968 is older than a lot of our cap rates, where we were in the 70s. Now, before we go to page 7, the financial statements that we have on page 12, what the owner gives to the assessment department is from the accountant's financial statements, which does not break down the repair and maintenance. So that's the data we show on our spreadsheet. But then we, for all general of Phoenix properties, we obtained the general ledgers. General ledgers, which I checked on one property, is about 70 pages per year. So we 5 years, it'd be 350 pages. So we go through that and we cross off some of the large items we believe to be capital expenditures, and we make our spreadsheet on page 7. So for all Phoenix properties, because the financial statements include CapEx and don't give any detail, we get the data from the general ledgers. We stabilize repair maintenance from the general ledgers. So we have 5 years, so 2013, 2017, we show what the 5-year average is. We show where we stabilize, and then we show what it is per suite. And then the second last column, we show how we stabilize. So the appliance maintenance, we stabilize at the 5-year average. Appliance purchase, we stabilized at 2013, 2017 times 90%, and we brought it down by 10%, mainly because we have a maximum of 167. Part of our repair maintenance study, which I forgot to mention to you, is that we got information from K4 as to what it costs to buy appliances, and it was a 1,670 average cost, and we take a 10-year life, so we're saying it should be maximum 167. Same as flooring, the K4 had given us the cost of flooring for quite a few of their apartment blocks. Came to about 4,000 per suite, and we give it a 10-year life, which would be a maximum of 400. So we don't use averages, we use maximum. So whenever we have appliances or carpet or flooring that exceeds these maximum, we bring it down to the maximum. So the carpet maintenance, we brought it down at 75% for the 5-year average, brings it to 391 per suite, which is below our maximum. Items are shown in red, we exclude, so that the major repairs and general building CapEx at 50%, we exclude. So we have stabilized it in black there. So we excluded 50%. Now, general buildings is shown at the bottom. A general building includes turnover repairs, 20 to 40%, small parts and supplies, fire alarm testing, repair doors and locks. Those are not capital items. But we disallowed 50% because they tend to be high. So none item is specifically a capital item. So we took the general building, we put 50% up under the 5th line. That's the part that's excluded. The other remaining 50%, we put it on the middle of the page where it has 30,176, etc. Then we excluded the 4 high years and used the low year in 2014 to stabilize that. That comes to 386.91 per suite. So we allowed only 50% to start with. That took the lowest year of 2014. The next few items, we took the 5-year average, except for the painting and decorating. Painting is usually considered repair and maintenance, except if you paint most of your suites. If you do too much painting in 1 year, we have to bring it down to a normal level. And from the study that we've done on apartments, we've come to a maximum of 175. So we took the 5-year average times 31% to bring it down to the maximum. Pest control, we excluded 2 high years. Refuse and snow, we stabilized those separately, so we exclude them. Repair and maintenance, we exclude 4 high years for plumbing, so that plumbing is, everything you need to fix plumbing, including toilets and sinks, et cetera, and taps. So we excluded 4 high years, it was the lowest year. And roof repairs, we allow roof repairs, but not roof replacement, and that we allow a small amount, 172. So our stabilized repairing minutes is 124,000, which is 1831 per suite. The actual per suite excluding CapEx, which is the 3 items on top, and excluding waste and snow, these are shown what the actuals were, 21, 2,500, et cetera. 5-year average is 2788, but after we stabilized each individual item, we're down to 1831. So page 8. So from our repair and maintenance study, you know that 1,087 rent average is on the high side. You'll see the line 1, the potential gross rents, it was 889, 869, then they dropped to 836 in 2015, mainly because their vacancy was high. In 2013 it was 6.8, 5.9, and so they dropped their rents, so they're testing the market, pushing the market. And then they increased the rents gradually afterwards, and the vacancy stabilized. So by 2017, at 2.9% vacancy, and that's what we used. So we stabilized at the actual rent's 886, and the assessor's at 962, which is much higher than actual rent. And the subject rent is much higher than what the CBC average would be for that age group. So we believe we should go with the site-specific rents. Now we stabilized line 13, 923,000, the assessors is 937, so we're not that far off, but nevertheless, we should go site-specific. We stabilized the expenses, relatively normal way. The line 16, professional fees, normally we go 5 years, because that could be up and down, but we excluded the high year of 2015 in this case, and we used the 2017, so we used the lowest. Taxes and utilities, we used 2017 as usual, so we followed our standard procedures. Repair maintenance is from the stabilized general ledgers at 1831 per suite. We use a 6% cap rate, so we get a value of 7936. And that's my value.
7936, okay. Thank you. We'll entertain questions from starting with the assessor, Mr. Wong.
I guess with regards to the repair and maintenance, your information is from the general ledgers, correct?
That's correct.
Were those general ledgers provided to the assessment taxation department?
Not in this case. We have in the past when we've gone to the municipal board, but not for the board of revision.
Okay. So this is like your interpretation of the general ledger?
No, it's, we show general ledgers as actuals and we stabilize.
Okay. That what you stabilize is what you got was, right?
Judgment call on each and every item, and we show how we arrive at those judgment calls.
Okay. So the max values that you've applied, they're what you determined, or your studies have determined to be the max?
Yes, so that the repair and maintenance study, the part of the appendix of pages 17, 18, we have data on the appliances and flooring. On page 24, we have another property, 5445 Robin, which was also kind enough to give us their data. They have higher flooring costs. They have 4715 as their flooring cost, which we are using 4,000.
Okay.
They also have their data, so that we got from K4 as well, from the Spatsalon Estates.
Okay. If somebody else were to look at this, it's possible that they could interpret, they could stabilize differently?
Of course, part of stabilization, that it's an opinion.
Okay. That would be all my questions.
Okay. Mr. Swansky?
Well, the assessor dates this property as 1968. The effective date has not been increased due to maintenance and repairs. You have noted the maintenance and repair that has been done and what it costs per suite. So what, in your mind, is the effective age of this property?
1968, Phoenix or Globe does not normally rehab their properties, where rehab is where it's done a one-shot deal, like the 15 Arden. Huge amount in 1 year, and 660 Dakota, it was a huge amount in a couple of years. They do it upon turnover, as the suites become vacant, and that's when they upgrade, so not a recurring basis. Now, if you maintain your building and you're replacing your flooring and your appliances and your kitchen cabinets, you're just replacing something that was new at one time. So I don't think we should be changing the effective age. Even for those that were renovated, after 10 years, they start replacing the carpet on a recurring basis, same as others. So the effective age that we apply, that the assessor applies on certain properties that were rehabbed at one shot, it's very subjective. I don't think it's proper, because a lot of these buildings are, age that they have is just well maintained. So this one is well maintained, and so it's on a recurring basis, and they have high rents, and those high rents are, we use those high rents because they're spending a fair chunk of their repair maintenance on a recurring basis.
So what you're telling me is that some suites will be not renovated, others will be over a period of time. Eventually, they all get renovated depending on turnover.
The turnover as per CMHC, which they started to do in 2016, is about 22% average for the city, which I was not aware of before, but so every 5 years, suites turn over, 100% turnover every 5 years. So they don't necessarily replace the carpet every time there's a new tenant.
Right.
It's a judgment call they do, and I know sometimes they do it 8 years instead of 10, and when there's damage, it's every 5 years. So 10 is relatively conservative on our part. K4 was telling us that they tend to do it every 8 years, but I use a 10 to get my maximum 400.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no questions. We'll, summation, would you like a chance? Would you like to give us some summation, Mr. Moore?
Sure, just to, I guess, just to speak with towards the repair and maintenance. The $1,224 that I've applied to try to estimate the operating income, it's supported by the repair and maintenance study that the Altus has provided is coming in at maybe about 1,400. So the 1,224 that I've utilized is close to that. But it's also the 1,224 that I've utilized is actually right in between the 600 repair and maintenance for the Altus cap rate study, and between the 1,500 that is being used for all the properties today. So the 1,200 that I've used is actually right in there, and so that's I believe it's reasonable, and that's pretty much the majority of this property is just the high repair and maintenance. All the other aspects of the property, I believe, are support the model, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $9,731,000.
Thank you. And Mr. DuPont, some final remarks?
Yeah, the assessor's repair maintenance study, it only involves a few properties, only a few units. And when they have a 3 or 5 year average, he tends to pick the lowest year, and he's got some renovated properties which skews the average. Our cap rate study, repair maintenance study with 6 to 9 properties, the high rise 17 properties. The average actual is 2245 per suite, and the stabilized that we've done for 17 properties was 1826. So therefore, I think he's comparing in summation to low rises. Our low rise average was 1583, but the rents were 839 for that age group. So and the high rise age group with the average rent was 1040 versus the 1087. So when you compare it to the high rise group that we have, bang on to the average that we used, and lower than the actual R&M. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. That concludes 1106 St. Mary's Road. And we will move on to 11 St. Michael Road. Okay, when you're ready.
The subject property is 11 St. Michael Road. The roll number is 080-040-70000. It's a residential apartment block that's 9 stories high. It was built in 1968, but we have an effective year built in 1978. There are 90 suites with 98 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is our income valuation summary. We used average rents of $1,229 to get a potential income of $1,328,000. We used 2.6% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $1,293,000. We used a 42% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $747,000. Kept at 5%, we have an estimated market value of $14,945,000, which is $166,000 per unit. On page 4 are our rent comparables, showing the rents reviews are in line with the market, and some repair and maintenance comparables. As the repair and maintenance, as with the previous property, the repair and maintenance includes capital costs. On page 5 is a summary of the income and expenses. Similar to the previous property, you can see that the repair and maintenance for 2017 was $6,900 per unit. So there's a lot of work going on there. But using 1,224 as a repair and maintenance figure, the expenses are $477 for 2017, and the NOI is $692. The stabilized NOI is approximately $699,000. That's lower than what the model is estimated at $747,000, and recommending a revised value of $13,995,000 on page 5. It's on page 5.
Oh, 13,995, okay.
On page 6 is information on how we derived our cap rates, and on page 7 are some cap rate sales. Page 9 is a picture of the subject property with its location. And on page 10 is a picture, some information on the subject property with some pictures of the unit. So it appears that they are doing work to the units. I'm not sure if all units are like this, but that's the unit that they show on the internet. suggested NOI supports the revised value, and I ask that you accept the revised value of $13,995,000.
Thank you. Mr. Dupont, is that recommendation satisfactory to you?
No, no.
Okay, if you'd like to present us with your.
So page one, the property was built 1968, you have effective age 1978, can you tell us why?
Usually when we have a difference in effective age, it's to reflect the renovation work that's been done to the property.
But you don't have any specifics?
I don't have anything.
And on your description on page 10, it doesn't say renovated. And for, at the bottom it says vinyl flooring, so it's still vinyl, so it's not upgraded in any way under the features.
Well, I mean, if you look at the picture of the kitchen, it is not original. It is modern.
But that's a flow form, so that's not granite or anything superior, and it's got white covers and nothing superior.
Well, it is renovated.
No, your cap rate is 5%, and that's for 1975 plus, so if it were in fact 1968, it would be 5.3%, is that correct?
Yes.
So on page 5, so you're now recognizing the actual income, and you stabilize the expenses only for repair and maintenance. So you're basically accepting the actual expenses except for repair and maintenance, is that correct?
Yes.
All the questions?
Thank you. Mr. Swatsky?
No questions.
Have you been out to the property?
I have not inspected the property.
So you're suggesting that you're recommending that the value be lowered due to the actual, you're using closer to the actual expenses, is that?
Actual income and expenses.
Actual income and expenses?
Yeah, the model has overestimated in the area of rent, so I feel it's appropriate in this instance.
Okay. That's all my questions. Thank you. Mr. Dupont, if you would like to take us through your presentation, please?
Yes, so well, get the total stuff, you can go through that on your own, nothing unusual. So page 12, 2017, it shows 1169479, the income, that's what the assessor is using on this page 5. Second last expense, or the expenses, second expense is bad debt recovery, the 815, so we moved that up. So we have slightly higher income because there's a recovery. Now, if you look at the rents, page 14, 1075 for 2013, 1076 for 2014, and 1076 for 2015. If you look at my page 8, I got the 2013, 2014 missing. because I did not expand. But basically, the rents for 2013, 14, 15 are exactly the same, 107.5. So they had 6.9% vacancy in 2013, 5.2, so they kept the rents the same because the market was not accepting their rents. So that the vacancy decreased gradually. So they increased the rents again in 2017, and that caused the vacancy to go up to 4.6. So we stabilized vacancy at the 3-year average, 3.2%. So my EGI is at 1185 and the assessor is at 1169, so I'm actually higher than the assessor, which is not much, 17,000 higher. So we're very close. So the assessor's using all expenses except for site-specific, except repair maintenance. So that basically our difference is repair maintenance and cap rate. And cap rate, we choose 6% because our cutoff date is 1980 and not 1975, based on the cap rate comparables. And our repair maintenance is 1820. And we have the general ledger data on the previous page, page 7. So we have a similar workup that we had from a previous property. We have the general ledgers. We excluded 3 items, a capital purchase, major repairs in half of the general building. We excluded refuse and snow because we show them separately. Items in red are the amounts that we disallowed when we did our stabilization. So like appliance maintenance is 14,215, but we stabilized at 9435. So we show the appliance purchases. We stabilized at 47. Our max is 167, so much lower than maximum. We stabilized the carpet at 360 per suite, much lower than, well, somewhat lower than the max of 400. We stabilized the painting at a third of what they had to get to maximum 175, so that we're discounting a lot of their own painting there. So the actual per suite, excluding the capex and the waste and snow, is shown there. The averages for each year, 1896, 1955. The average is 2849. We stabilized at 1820. So I believe we were quite reasonable in the stabilization of the repair units. Now the page 8, the rent that it has is relatively high also at 1,066 per suite. For 1968 buildings, they're getting a relatively high rent, and that's obtained by the fact that they're spending a lot of money on their repair maintenance and on an ongoing basis, a recurring basis. So we believe we should be using the repair maintenance, site-specific repair maintenance, because we have the rent. So we have to match the 2. And so that's my value, 10,601,000.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, do you have any questions of Mr. Dubon?
No questions.
Questions? Mr. Sawatsky?
No, I don't have questions, thank you.
I have a question. The assessor said that he is using the income and expense from the owner, but yet your numbers are different, and you're using the income and expense from the owners. How come? Maybe you explained it, but I didn't quite catch it all. Why is there a difference?
Well, the income, 1,169,479. Actual, line 13 is 1,173. It's because that I moved up the bad debt recovery. So without the bad debt, it would be 1,169. And I stabilized the 1,185 higher than the assessor, mainly because I gave it less vacancy than actual. Now the expenses,
You just, by going through your sheet up here, you've come up with a different expense number than what the assessor is using, is that?
He's using the actual 2017 expenses for all items except the repair and maintenance. I believe we don't have much difference there, so on. I stabilized 549, I'd have to use a calculator, less the 163. So I stabilized other expenses around the 400,000, and he's stabilizing other expenses at 469.
Okay.
So I'm probably lower than him on the other expenses, because he's going 2017, and some items I'm going 3 years. I'd have to do some math there.
Okay, I understand, it's just a little different way of,
Yeah, I stabilized line for line, and he's going 1 full year.
okay. Question about the cap rates, again, because going back to your cap rate study, I was mentioning earlier that they're mostly older buildings. They're subject by, well, let me ask the question first. Did you inspect the property?
No, did not.
The assessor's got this page on features and amenities, balcony. I would think some of your apartments, smaller apartments in your cap rate study don't have balconies and stuff. Would that make a difference, like, if you're a buyer, you make it more valuable, or you use a lower cap rate if the buildings have balconies and stuff? Concrete, they're,
All the years I've been doing this, since 1991, we never had, went to the municipal board where the assessor or tax agent went with a different cap rate for properties with balconies. Balconies is not something that is reflected in the cap rate, it's reflected in the rents. So otherwise, the assessor would say high-rise with balconies are different than high-rise without balconies. We don't do that, so that cap rate is mainly on the risk. It's what return you want, so what's the risk of your income stream? So that you would have a higher risk with older properties built for 1946, so the ages have something to do with risk, so that comes into factor. But actual features and amenities do not figure into cap rates, because that's captured in the rents and or expenses.
but when you're doing the calculation for the cap rate, you're taking income divided by sale price, that's gonna give you that number, right? So the higher the income, or the lower the income, whichever way, it's going to change the cap rate, right? And the income is being developed by the amenities of the building.
Right, so any features that we have for a property location even is captured in the income. So when we stabilize the net income, it's site-specific for every property. What return did the market give for that property on that sale? And if we say, okay, well, the 6%, but this is lower risk or higher risk, then we can adjust for that. So it's usually cap rate reflecting the risk rather than features.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. That will conclude. Would you like some chance of summation? No? Mr. Dupont, would you like to say anything?
No summation, no.
Okay, thank you. That concludes 11 St. Michael's. That will take us to 24 Arden.
Can we go through this property and then potentially take a short bathroom break and then, before we finish?
Sure, if you don't, are you willing to go through this property? Or would you like a break right now?
Actually, if you guys don't mind taking a break right now, because I think the rest of the properties are gonna be similar to the previous one in terms of how we go through it.
Okay,
So-
we'll take a short break. Okay, we'll call the meeting back to order, and we will begin with 24 Arden Avenue.
The subject property is 24 Arden. The roll number is 080-040-14900. It's a residential apartment block that's 4 stories high. It was built in 1978, and it has 43 suites with 48 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is our income valuation summary. We use average rents of $960 to get a potential income of $495,000. We used a 2.6% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $482,000, and we used a 50% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $241,000. Capped at 5%, we have an estimated market value of $4,825,000, so $112,000 per unit. On page 4 are some rent comparables. Show the rents we've used online with what's on the market. On the bottom of page 4 are some repair and maintenance comparables, which are utilized to try to estimate the net operating income, because the subject property reports a large figure for their repair and maintenance, which includes capital. So the estimated operating income on my bottom of page 5 is about $264,000, which is a little bit higher than what the model is estimated at $241,000. On page 6 is information on how we derived our cap rates. Page 7 are some cap rate sales. On page 9 is a picture of the subject property and its location. Page 10, some information on the subject property. It does indicate that there have been some renovations. The last few pages are the income and expenses submitted by the owner. The adjusted net operating income supports the model, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value of $4,825,000.
Very good, thank you. Questions, Mr. Dupont?
You didn't change the effective age on this property?
No. There is no effective age variance.
Do you know how much of renovations they did in 2014 for the kitchens and bath?
I do not know.
That's all questions.
Thank you. Mr. Swansky, questions?
No, I don't have any questions, thank you.
Okay, on page, so we'll start with page 11. They're showing NOI of 149.9, and you're using 241,
Yes.
quite a variation.
I guess if you look on my page 5,
Okay,
there is a, on say to 2017 expenses, I guess I made an adjustment to the repair and maintenance, but just below that is a mortgage expense of 88,000. And, yeah, the mortgage expense is not used when calculating the net operating income.
Okay. And on that page 11 that I was suggesting, you're saying that there's mortgage, that mortgage number in there?
Yeah, there is, if you look right above it, there's some debt service. Or other, of 88,940, 941.
Oh, yes, very good, okay. And the cap rate, you're using 5%?
Yes.
So in your cap rate study there where it says the multifamily 4.9 to 5.3 from the 20th. Is there a low-rise B, is there a cutoff sort of year thing here? This is 1968 building?
Yep.
If it was a 1978 building, I should say. If it
Yeah,
was
it's a 1978 building. If it was 1970, it would be 5.3% cap rate.
1970, what if it was 1990?
It would be 5%.
Where would it change to 4.9?
Oh, well, it depends on the type of property.
Okay.
Yeah,
not
for
just-
this type of property, it would be 5%. 1975 and newer.
Okay. This isn't a standard, of these other ones we were looking at earlier were 9, 10 stories high. This is different, is it?
It's a,
4-story building?
yeah.
That's all my questions, thank you. Mr. Dupont, would you like to take us through your information?
Okay, so page 1, the photo shows that it's a low rise with balcony. 2 is aerial map, and 3 is the photo again, so it's South St. Town, there, Bishop Grandin. Most of them are today. It's building 78, so our cap rate, page 6, is that our age groups, 1960 and 1979, we're saying it's 6%. We have at least 3 cap rates, early 70s, 70 to 74, I believe. Now the revenue and expense are shown on page, in the appendix of the, and we have page 12 is the 2017. Under capital costs, it shows nothing. Page 15, 2016 has some breakdown in some of the items. Page 17, we're back to the handwritten questionnaires. And under capital cost summary, it shows nothing. So if they did kitchen and bath renovations, they don't show any here. The repair minutes is relatively low, it's 55,277. That's what we show on our spreadsheet. So we can go back to page 7. If you look at the effective gross rent, line 13, from 2013 on, 426, 458, 471, 469, 486. So they did not increase the rents much. If they did renovations in 2014, the rents in 2015 did not change very much. So I don't think there was major renovations, since the rents hardly moved. Now we stabilized based on actual rents for 2017, less than 2.5% vacancy versus the assessor 2.6 and the actual 1%. So our line 13 was slightly less than the actual, mainly because we're allowing for vacancy at a market. Now we stabilize expenses the standard way, except for repair and maintenance, which is usually a long-term average. So we use the 2013-2017 average, which is 1636 per suite. This is a low rise, and the rents on top of line 3 is 901. So it's lower than, let's see, my threshold of about 1,000, based on the repair and maintenance study, that rents were over 1,000 on the high side and less than 1,000 or lower. Now walk-ups that are 800, 700 per suite would be low, but this one is kind of medium. So you got medium rents and repair and maintenance, it's not bad. So our repair and maintenance study for low rises, the 23 units, 6079 is 1583 average. Actual, what we stabilized at 1438. But the average rent for that age group that we have in our cap rate, repair and maintenance study was 839. This is higher. So we should be using site-specific repair and maintenance to match site-specific rents. So when we add everything together, it's line 33, the net operating income is 247.18 versus the original assessment 241. So we're pretty much the same as the original NOI from the assessor. So then it becomes a cap rate argument. So we use 6% versus the assessor of 5. That's my submission.
Thank you. You said walk-up, a building like this would have an elevator.
That I'm not sure. The assessor doesn't show. And other repairs, I looked under to see whether that elevator costs. Well, 2013 has a lot of breakdown. Page 20. I don't see elevator anywhere as an expense. Well, maybe page 19. Well, it does have elevator, yeah, 38, 36 for the expenses, so it would have an elevator.
Okay, Mr. Sawatsky, any questions?
Well, I guess we can always talk about the cap rate. The city's sticking around 5, you're going back down to 6. Is there anything further you can tell me as to why we should look at 6?
Well, part of the cap rate that the assessor has, we have, is we quote the market reports from Colliers and CBRE, by page 4, my cap rate study. I believe that it was in the questioning. So low rise B for CBRE is 5.75 to 6. An IO6, so this would be a low rise B. The Class A would be 1998 plus, in my opinion. So if you had properties like the one in Southview, my comparables, or the newer properties built since 2000 or so, these would be low rise A. So they have 5.75 to 6. We're at 6 from our cap rate study. And the Colliers for, they just say low rise 5.1 to 6.1, so that captures, on the low end would be the Class A, and the high end would be the Class B, which we have. So I believe that our cap rate study is supported by the market reports, whereas the assessor is not. 5% for a low rise B is extremely low. It's not supported by either cap rate studies by the assessor, and it's not supported by the market reports that they show.
Would you say that the difference in the value between yours and the assessor, that 800,000, is that a significant difference?
I'm not sure it is, but any difference in value is significant. I think a long time ago, the municipal boards would say that, oh, it's just within, I think it was 2.5%. It's within 2.5% you lose. And so we fought that and said, well, hey, 2.5% is worth money. So they stopped using the difference in value, so now they're specific. And we settle sometimes at the board, that they said, well, you lost on the tax DuPont for 2012, and the value is 1%, would you take it? And I take it, we go site specific, so the 800,000 is substantial, but there's no minimum difference that we allow now.
Thank you. Yeah, I have no questions. That will conclude, summation? No summation, Mr. Dupont?
No.
That will conclude 24 Arden. We will go to 329 St. Mary's Road.
The subject property is 329 St. Anne's Road.
Sorry, St. Anne's
Okay.
Road, yes.
The roll number is 080-024-61000. It's a residential apartment block that's 10 stories high. It was built in 1971 and had 158 suites with 152 outdoor parking stalls and 2 indoor parking stalls. I'm recommending that the value be revised to $15,637,000. If you go to page 5, their income for 2017 is about $1,572,000. Their expenses are about $1,111,000, but there was some capital expenditures for the building and the suite. Removing those, their expenses are about $769,000, and their NOI is estimated to be $828,000. That's noticeably lower than what the model is estimated at $1,017,000. And so providing a revised value of $15,637,000.
Okay. Mr. Dupont, is that acceptable to you, or?
No, I accept his NOI, 828,000 versus mine at 830, so we're down to cap rate only.
Okay.
So on page 6 is the information on how we derive our cap rates. On page 7 are some cap rate sales. So, 333 Ward is a newer property, but it is it's similar in the sense that it is a larger property compared to the subject, and so I feel it is the most comparable at 5%. And with regards to 333 Ward being a newer building, there was an appraisal done for 333 Ward, and the cap rate utilized in that appraisal is 5%. That 5% was based off of 18 sales of similar type properties to the actual subject, which were older, with a range of maybe 1959 to 1979 properties. So it seems like the cap rates for these larger types of properties are similar, even though they might be older, say, like I said, 1959 to 1979. Those sales were utilized to establish a 5% cap rate for 333 Ward. So I feel that it supports the 5.3% and for this property, and maybe the 5% for other properties. On page 9 is a picture of the subject property. page 10 is some information on the subject property. Appears that they have some one-bedrooms that are not renovated and some one-bedrooms that are renovated. On page 11 to the back of my brief are the income and expenses submitted by the owner. So when you look at the actual performance of the property, it supports the revised value, and the cap rate that's utilized to estimate that value is also supported by the market. And I ask that you accept the revised value of $15,637,000.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Dupont, any questions of the assessor?
No question.
Questions, Mr. Sawatsky?
Just one, I noticed on the map on page 9 that there's a green space behind this building. I don't know if it's right on the green space, but does that influence value?
In this particular case, it would be, no, it just happens to be part of the roll number, but a lot of the value comes from the income that it might generate. So if there's an extended sliver, I don't think that has an effect on the rent.
Compared to the ones we've been looking at on St. Mary's, is this a good location?
I would say it's a good location in the south, but, that's my view.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have any questions. Thank you. We'll move on to your information, Mr. Dupont.
Something I didn't point out, so if you look at page 57 of my cap rate study,
Page 57.
of the cap rate study.
Okay.
It's an email from Mar West. The purchaser said they would like to confirm that when we purchased 333 Ward for $18 million, the cap rate was 5.44%. The assessor mentioned in passing there was an appraisal around 5%, but the purchaser says 5.44. And I didn't go with the purchaser's opinion, I went 5.13. So naturally, there's different opinions. You can have an appraiser have an opinion, and you have a purchaser has an opinion, and then we stabilize. And the Michigan Board has stated before that we do not take an opinion of an appraiser unless he's there to testify. I don't believe we should be taking any value in what he says at 5%, because the purchaser is 5.44. I went lower than that.
Okay.
So, we're not gonna go through the data on the back. So the page 6, we're going with a 6% cap rate. It was built in 1971, so it fits squarely in the age group by the assessor and Altus. So the assessor has 5.3, so page 7. Look at line 3, the potential market gross rent is $807 per suite. For high-rise, it's on the low side. Anything below 1,000 is low, so this one's 800. The repair maintenance, line 27, is low also, it's stabilized at $1160 per suite. So the repair maintenance, the financial statements, they have a lot of categories, et cetera, and we allowed and disallowed certain items. Now we stabilize 830,000, the assessor's recommendation, 828, I believe. So we're pretty much the same. So we're down to cap rate. So we believe that we should go with the cap rate 6%. So this is a property with medium rent and medium recurrent maintenance, well, maybe even on the low side, low R&M and low rents. So I believe that does not warrant a premium, certainly not comparable to a 333 ward. The assessor's own categories for cap rate, they have 75 to 97, and then they go 1998 plus. So the 333 ward is in the 1998 plus as per the assessor. So their own categories, they would have, this is 2 categories away from 333 ward. So I don't think we should give any weight to the assessor's cap rate comparison to 333 ward. I have 3 comparables that were built in the 70s. It's more comparable than something built in 2005. That's my submission.
Thank you. Questions, Mr. Wong?
No questions.
Mr. Sawatsky?
No questions.
A question about the cap rate. On page 6, your age categories, 1960 to 1979 is one category. That's the one you're using, 6%. You had said before that majority of the buildings, or a lot of the buildings, were built in the 1970s. So if your category was, say, from 1970 to 1979, would that change that 6%?
No, because I got 3 comparables built in the 70s, my cap rate comparables. 1960s, I have 2 in the 60s, they're 5.94605, so that would not change. They're 6% also.
Okay, that's all my questions. Summation from either party?
I guess I feel that 233 ward and actually there's a sale of 500 Portage, which caps at about 4.07%, supports the cap rate that we've used. So I ask that you accept the revised value that I recommended.
Very good, thank you.
Summation, 500 Portage, he hasn't talked too much about it, but it's a Colony Square, and as you know, it has an office building, bunch of retail. So it's a
20%.
mixed property and should not be used as a cap rate calculation.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude 329 St. Anne's Road, and we will move on to 34 Morrow Avenue.
The subject property is 34 Morrow. The roll number is 080-024-01000. It's a residential apartment building that's 2 stories high. It's built in 1978 and has 51 suites with 48 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is my income valuation summary. We use average rents of $862 to get a potential income of $527,000. Use a 2.6% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $513,000. And we used a 53% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $239,000. Kept at 5.3%, we have an estimated market value of $4,511,000. On page 4 are some rent comparables and some repair and maintenance comparables. On page 5 is a summary of the income and expenses submitted by the owner. Stabilized operating income is about $286,000. It's higher than what the model is estimated at $239,000. On page 6 is information on how we derived our cap rates. And on page 7 are some cap rate sales. Page 9 is a picture of the subject property with its location. Page 10 is some information on the subject property from the management website. Page 11 and 12 are the income and expenses submitted by the owner. Their adjusted NOI supports the model, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $4,511,000.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Mr. Dupont?
Page 3, your effective gross income is 513,000. And page 5, you use 540,000 actual. So would that indicate that has higher rents than normal?
It is what they're receiving.
But it is higher than what you use? So would you say that the higher rents are normal?
It seems to be kind of in line. Maybe the model is estimating low. I think when you look at the comparable rents, it seems to be in line with other properties, and so it appears that the model is estimating a low in terms of the income.
So you're adjusting the repair and maintenance again at $12.24 per unit instead of going site specific, is that correct?
It's based off of the information that was provided, and
That's all questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sabatsky, any questions?
No questions.
So the stabilized, the net operating income stabilized is higher, the actual is higher than the page 3, which is what the model is generated from.
yeah, it appears that the model's a little bit light in the, on the NOI side.
Okay, but you're not asking to have it changed, because a couple of properties ago, you brought it down because
Yeah.
there was a difference, but we're not going the other way.
No,
No sales on the subject property?
not, no.
Have you been by any, driven by or inspected the subject property?
No, I have not inspected the property.
And the cap rate is, that you're using is 5.3.
Yes.
So according to your cap rate study, then on page 6, you're at the high range of the 80th percentile on property like this.
Yes.
That's because
Yeah,
it's,
it is in line with, I guess, what I've seen in terms of sales.
that's because of its age, that it's at 5.3 at the higher end.
Yeah, if, like I said, it's 1968. If it was 1978, it would be 5%.
That's all my questions, thank you. Mr. Dupont, if you-
Page 1 is the photo. Very ordinary walk-up, no balconies, 2.5 stories, because the bottom suites are in the basement. Page 3 is your aerial photo. And then the map shows the 34 Morrow Google map. cap rate, we're going 6%, because the property's built 1968. So it fits in our category 1960, 79, and the category for the assessor is 60 to 74. So we're within the assessor's cutoff there. Page 7A is our repair and maintenance. So this is Phoenix Properties again. So they give us the general ledgers, and we go to trouble of stabilizing each and every item. So those items in the red we disallowed in our stabilization, and then we show the maximum. So the appliance purchase, we stabilized 155, so it's below the maximum 167. Carpet, we were stabilizing 394, with below the max 400. And the painting, we brought it down also to 32%. Gonna have to talk to Globe to see why their painting is higher than our average. That's what they're doing virtually every year for 5 years. With every property you had here today. Nevertheless, the actual per suite, the spent is $27.68, average 5 years, excluding the capex and waste and snow. We stabilized at $18.39. Page 7B. The actual 5 years of revenue and expense. You can see that the vacancy, line 5, the vacancy is relatively high, 8%, 12.5, 8.9, 5.7, 9.6. So Globe is pushing the rents as much as possible. They spend money on their apartment block on the turnover, but then the not-for-profit, they're pushing the rents to their max. So the line 3, their rent is $927, which is on the high side for a walk-up built 1968. We stabilized at 8.1%, which is the 5-year average. It was 9.6 in 2017, so we brought down the average. And on their remarks, it says a stabilized average 8.9. That's incorrect. It's 8.1 that we stabilized at. So the line 13, they actually received 142,000, but we stabilized at 548 because we're using less vacancy than actual. And that's the highest year of all the years, the line 13. Expenses, we stabilized the normal way for virtually everything we have, either 2009 or 2-year average, except for repair and maintenance, where we use the general ledgers. We stabilized at 1839. Line 33, so we're similar to the assessor's original assessment. Now the assessor's higher because he's using 1224 for repair and maintenance, which is totally inappropriate. They're comparables, we had rebuttal against it, and it's not site-specific. So I believe we should just go with our NOI, or even the assessor's NOI originally, and bring it down to a cap rate. So our cap rate is 6%, so it comes to about $2,970,000. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
This is a low-rise B, and we have 5 3/4 to 6 for the CBRE, so I believe that that's well supported by our cap rate study and the market report.
Okay. Mr. Wong, any questions of Mr. Dupont?
No questions.
No questions? Mr. Sawatsky, any questions?
Well, looking at some of these, I guess I'm still trying to get a handle on repair and maintenance and rentals. This is a 1968 building. Has it had significant renovations done?
They're doing it on their recurring basis upon turnover. And our page 7, it shows that what they're spending on painting. They spend a high amount of painting. I don't know if you can consider that as renovations, likely not.
Yeah.
The appliance purchase, it's within normal, below the max. 5-year average is 31,000, I stabilize at 20,000. So, and that varies each year and depends on the turnover. So, and I don't think carpeting can be considered renovation. That's replacing what used to be new, and it's based on turnover, so it depends on your turnover. And they have really high rents, they're pushing the market, but pushing the market the way they are, maybe it results in higher turnover. So it's, their repair maintenance is matching their rents, their turnover, and their vacancy, etc. I don't think it's renovated. It's a really good condition, I would think. I don't think it's renovated in any way.
It's really hard to assess value if you don't have a clear picture of what improvements, what real improvements have been made to the total space.
Yeah, even if you knew there was vinyl planking in there,
Well, if
but
we-
some do. But every property is different, is specific.
Yeah, but if we knew they had replaced all the windows and repaired the roof and put in a new boiler or whatever, you could say there's a major improvement to that building.
It's in good condition. If you replace the roof, it doesn't change the effective age because the roof used to be new and you have to replace your roof every 20 years. I would suggest that any property by Globe General or Phoenix are in good condition. They spend the money on the property as needed. They don't have any deferred maintenance. Some other properties may have deferred maintenance. But page 10 of the accessory says vinyl flooring, so that's quite normal. They don't see anything that is renovated. So they don't advertise it's renovated.
Okay, thanks.
I don't have any questions. So now we can, do like, either party like summation?
Nope.
That will conclude 34 Morrow, and we will move on to 20 Morrow.
The subject property is 20 Morrow. The roll number is 080-024-005-00. It's a residential apartment block that's 2 stories high. It was built in 1969 and it has 48 suites with 48 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is our income valuation summary. We use average rents of $1,009 to get a potential income of $581,000. It's a 2.6% vacancy to get an effective gross income of $566,000. We use a 49% expense ratio to get a net operating income of $287,000. At the 5.3%, we have an estimated market value of $5,421,000. On page 4 are some rent and repair and maintenance comparables. On page 5 is a summary of the income and expenses submitted by the owner, stabilizing their NOI at $284,000, which is very close to what the model is estimated at $287,000. Just to point out their repair and maintenance, for 2017, it's $6,000 per unit. On page 9 is a picture of the subject property with its location. Oh, 11 and 12 are the income and expenses submitted by the owner. So when you look at the adjusted NOI, it supports the model, and I ask that you maintain the assessed value at $5,421,000.
Thank you. Move on. Questions?
Page 10, that's the ad having this property. Does it say anywhere is this renovated or show any features that show renovations or above average?
No.
Page 3, the gross potential rent you had was 581. AGI was 567. And your page 5, you're going with 536. So you're going with lower rents that the owner has.
No, it's just showing a comparison between what the model has estimated and what their actuals indicate.
So you're not stabilizing at the actual rent, you're not stabilizing at $12.24 per suite for repair maintenance?
And showing that the actual performance is in line with the model.
That's all questions.
Thank you. Mr. Swatsky?
No questions, thanks.
On your page 7, you have 5 cap rate studies. The last one we want to be concerned with Ward, with talking about this building. But how would it compare? How many suites do we have here?
48.
48. So there's a building, the Langside is 47, that's 6.9.
Mhm.
The Roach Avenue is 36,
Mhm.
that's 4.84. Do you know anything about these sales in particular? Which one you think is most similar to the subject property?
I guess maybe the two properties that we talked about are probably the most similar. But I guess the purpose of these cap rate sales is just to show that the model-derived cap rates are accurate.
Okay,
But if you kind of, I guess the average of those two particular cap rates is about 5.4%, which is actually very similar to what is being used at 5.3%.
okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Can I redirect from that?
Yes. Go right ahead.
So your page 7 on the cap rates, the first 3 comparables were bought with the intention to renovate, is that correct?
I think your rebuttal says so.
Yeah, so you agree with that then? That they had an intention to renovate?
Possibly, based off of the information that you provided.
Now, the cap rate you derived, do you know what repair maintenance you use for each of those 3 comparables on top there?
No.
You have no workup, so is that done by somebody else?
Yes.
And based on those 3 cap rates, why did you choose 5.3% for that age group when you had these low comparables?
No, these cap rate sales are just, they're there to show that the model-derived cap rates are accurate. And when you look at the sort of the estimates of value based off of these cap rates that the model is using, they produce accurate estimates of value, because with regards to IAAO ratio requirements, they're saying that the model is very good at estimating the market value, and it's very good at estimating market value using the cap rates that we've presented.
So if your model used 5.3%, it'd probably be an average of your cap rates that you calculated, those 3, 4.5, then you would probably have another 3 or more at 5.86, and then you average a 5.3. So would you agree then, in order for your model to be 5.3, they had to have higher cap rates than that?
It ranges from 4 to 7.3, with a lot of them being between 4.9 and 5.3.
Your 4% is what you use to value properties, right? Rather than what the cap rate comparables are.
For the subject property?
Yeah, when you say the city of Winnipeg, 4 to 730, so that's city of Winnipeg cap rates, that's what you use on valuations, not the cap rate comparable.
Yes, it's what was used to derive the model.
Right, so they're not cap rate comparable. Thank you.
Okay. If you would like to present your, take us through 20 Morrow, Mr.
Right, and I would like to reinforce or restate my rebuttal evidence on the assessor's cap rates. To leave those properties that they have were renovated.
Okay.
The other two, we have cap rate calculations were virtually the same on 277 Bankside, we're a little bit higher on 333 Ward. And I believe we should totally throw out the assessor's cap rates on the first three because they're renovated.
Okay, that's been noted.
Page 1 is a photo of the subject. Walk up, 2.5 stories, so then you have the basement half underneath the ground. Then page 2 is the aerial photo showing the parking that it has. And page 3 is a Google map. Page 6 is our cap rate. We're saying it's 6% versus 5.3 because the subject built 1969. Page 7A, which is the general ledgers from Phoenix, or Globe General again. So we go through the same exercise. I mean, the appliance purchase for only $87 is less than the max of what, 1670, so they're less than a 10-year replacement rate. Carpets, $320, which is less than a 400 replacement rate every 10 years. The painting is high again, so we brought it down by a third. So we stabilize at $16.99 per suite, which is put in page 7B. You notice the line 5, the vacancy, 7B, they go up to a maximum of 8% in 2015, so they're pushing the rents again. So then the vacancy eased to 3.7, 3.1. The average 3 years, 4.9. We used the lowest 3.1 they had in 2017. So our effective gross income is $551, which is slightly less than the assessor. Our expenses stabilize in normal ways at 2017 for most items, except those where we show the 3-year average or the 5% management. And repair maintenance is at $16.99 per suite, which is the site-specific based on the general ledgers. Now, as you look at line 3, the rent that it has is $961 per suite. It's on the high side for a walk-up. But there again, that's part of the Globe, is they push the rents to the maximum and they have the repair maintenance to match it. So our NOI is less at $252 than the assessor. And so we employ the 6% cap rate, which comes to 4211. And our cap rate study, we have 3 cap rate comparables built in the 70s. We have the CBRE at 5 3/4 to 6 for the low-rise B. I believe our cap rate is very well supported. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, any questions of Mr. Dupont?
No questions.
Mr. Sawatsky?
The lower floor is in the basement again?
The low, yeah, it's half above ground.
Thank you, no questions.
So this, thank you. So this would be one of those without an elevator then?
This one, I don't think we'll have an elevator.
Okay, on line 3, on page 7B, you were saying they were pushing the rents, the vacancy went up to 8%. But the potential gross income didn't come down. Was the highest 8% was 519, and then it went to 3.7%, it went 533, 553. So it didn't seem to affect the gross income very much.
No, it just shows that they had a
vacancy
four
went down.
point 2% vacancy, 8.0, so the Globe is not staying at the 1% vacancy or whatever, they're pushing the rents where they get higher than a normal vacancy. So they're testing the market, they're pushing, when I say pushing, is that
Yeah.
you have higher than normal vacancy, it's because they're pushing the market, and then they correct themselves as they go along. But you're correct that what line 8, they are still going up. So, yeah, line 15, line 2015 was almost the same as 2014 and 2013. So they kind of hit a wall there, and then they persevered and the vacancy went down.
Okay, I think that's all my questions. We'll, there's summation on either side.
No.
We'll move on to 66 Morrow.
Subject property is 66 Morrow. The roll number is 080-024-025-00. It's a residential apartment building that's 3 stories high. It was built in 1967 and has 69 suites with 69 outdoor parking stalls. On page 3 is our income valuation summary. We use average rents of $921 to get a potential income of, So I guess if you go to my page 5, their estimated operating income is $327,000, which is a little bit lower than what the model is estimated at $345,000. So I'm providing a recommended value of $6,180,000. And so if you look on, for my 2017 income was $677,000, their expenses were $446,000. Yeah, for 2017, on my page 5, their income was $677, their expenses were $446. Their repair and maintenance, it does include capital expenditure. So I removed the $169,000 repair and maintenance, and I added it back in at $81,877. The $81,877 is based off of the repair and maintenance for 2013 and 12. The reason why I went to 2013 and 12 is if you go to my page 15, or even if you, like their repair and maintenance has been fairly high over the more recent years, but their repair and maintenance does include capital. On my page 15, their repair and maintenance didn't include any capital, and is at $84,000 at the bottom. And then on my page 16, is the 2012 maintenance ledger. Sorry, the repair and maintenance for 2013 is actually 79,000 on page 15. On the top of page 15, the repair and maintenance is 79,000, and then on the bottom of page 15 is the 2012 repair and maintenance with no capital at 84,000, and averaging those two is about 81,000, which is what I've used on my page 5. So
Okay.
you can see on my page 5, their repair and maintenance in 2013 and 12 is noticeably, which didn't include any capital, is different from what they've incurred in 2017, 16, and 15, so I thought it was appropriate to use it. So that's how I got my revised value of $6,180,000. I ask that you accept the revised value of $6,180,000.
Thank you. Mr. Dupont, questions?
Your statements, page 12 and 13, there's no breakdown of repair and maintenance, is that correct?
No.
So you don't know whether it has CapEx in there or not?
For 2012 and 13?
And, well, it's 2017,
Oh, yeah,
2016.
17, yeah, so I don't know, yeah.
And 2015.
Yeah,
And you have the breakdown on page 15, only because we provided that in the previous appeal, is that correct?
yeah. In previous statements, you see there's a red excluded number, which is, in this case, was 0 and 0 for 13 and 12. In following years, there have been excluded amounts, which, you know, they deem to be capital, but we didn't have that type of detail with the 17, 16, and 15 repair and maintenance. So based off of the information that we had, tried to estimate as accurately as we could.
Page 10, your description, does it show that it's renovated, or does it say renovated anywhere?
It doesn't appear so.
Now, your page, the page 3, the effective gross income, you have 742,000. And on page 5, you stabilize that at 677, so it's a substantial decrease.
There's a difference, yes.
Now, the repair and maintenance that you're stabilizing at, 81,877, is 1187 per suite, is that correct?
That sounds about right.
So that's less than the other ones where you're using 1224?
Yeah, 1188 and 1224 is, I would say it's very close.
So that 1187, 2012, 2013, so you're excluding the other years, 2015 to 2017 then?
Yes, they did include capital expenditures.
So what's your expense ratio now that you've stabilized?
Um, 52% approximately.
So the 2017 income is shown on your page 12. So it shows potential rent 919, but after discounts and vacancy, they're down to 677. So you actually use the high amount of discount, vacancy, and losses to get that?
It's just what they've reported for income.
That's all questions.
Thank you. Mr. Swatsky?
No questions, thanks.
I have no questions either. Mr. Dupont, if you'd like to take us through your submission?
Page 1, walk up, no balconies. Shows where it is, and it's in the riverbank. They had to spend, I believe, $487,000 to stabilize the riverbank in the past, as part of my spreadsheet. Property is built 1967, so the cap rate we have from our cap rate study is 6%. And my spreadsheet's page 7, it's not numbered, but it's after page 6. If you look at the potential gross rent and discounts, vacancies, highly unusual. Under remarks at the bottom, it says 2011 CapEx $487,000 for riverbank stabilization. So they applied for rent increases, and they were granted huge rent increases. And then since then, they've been granting high discounts also. Then under remarks, says 2011 to 2017, the rent increases were 12.1, 14.3, 6.1, 3.6, 7.5. Then lastly 1 and 4.7. They had the riverbank, then they had windows, doors, and roof. They spent money on structural. So we disallowed these items. 2016 we disallowed electrical 24,000, plumbing 18, windows 42,000. 2017 windows 52, electrical, etc. We can go through that. Then another roof for 85,000. Suites are not renovated and are renewed on a recurring basis. And so I had a talk with the property manager at K4, and they were saying, no, it's not renovated. The reason they have these high rents and these discounts because they had to have the riverbank stabilization mainly. They increased the rents. Discount, and even after discount, look at the vacancy, 10.5, 15, 9.5, 7.3, 14.6. They're not getting their rents. So the line 3, we stabilized at 942 rents. And this is a walk up, the line 1, they're asking before discount, 1111. For a property that's not renovated, that's really high rents. So the market is not accepting that, so that the 10% vacancy is what we stabilize at. The assessors is recognizing that. Now our repair and maintenance, line 27, we show repair and maintenance after we disallow items, it comes to $16.60 per suite. We can go to the appendix. Page 11, that's what they provide to the assessment department, and what we get, page 12, is the from the general ledgers. So we have a breakdown, and then so we disallowed the carpet replacement was $540 per suite. We allowed 70% to get to $378, which would be the 400 maximum. Then the counters and covers is shown there. It's a total of 5 years. I added counters and covers for all 5 years, 18,600. And part of my conversation with K4, they said there's only 3 sets of new cupboards. And they had 14 countertops and 4 vanities during that 5 years. So we allowed 70% of the carpeting. We allowed those cupboards. Page 13, we disallowed the windows and doors, 5,200. Page 16 starts at page 14. Page 15, we allowed 90% 90% of the appliances to bring it down to 165. Our maximum one 167. We disallowed the electrical capex, 24,000. Page 15. Page 16, we disallowed the windows and doors, 42,000. We disallowed the plumbing for 18,000. So they're spending money on a lot of it on structural, and some carpeting. This is page 18. We allowed 90%. And as proposed, they're doing rolled vinyl. They're not putting vinyl plank in the property. So page 2014, we allowed 95% of appliances to bring it down to 168 per suite. And we disallowed, page 20, we disallowed the roof again. So they have to spend a lot of money on that, yet they're not able to get their rent. So page 23 is the same photos that the assessor had from the website. They don't show anything as renovated. When I talked to K4, said, no, it's not renovated at all. Page 24 shows the amenities, which does not show any renovations. Page 25, I asked K4 about that. This is this one of 3 new cabinets, so they show naturally the newer one, and you'll see the flooring, it's the vinyl flooring, and it's a vinyl veneer cap, so it's not high quality cabinets. Page 26, close up again, this rolled vinyl floor, so it's not high quality vinyl planking there either. Page 27 is Berber carpet, so it's a lower quality carpet again. The old doors that they have there, the old mahogany doors, they still have that. Page 29, the bathroom, there's still the rolled vinyl. Page 30, it's email Avram Chirac of K4 saying that they went through the general ledgers and they replaced tea cabinets, kitchen cabinets. Those are the costs of 1655, 1824, 2458. The labor for one, this is 2640, I believe is just the installation. And there were 4 vanities and 14 countertops in that 5-year period. He provided me with further general ledgers, page 31, where identified the cabinets, vanities, and the labor, which is, it ends up to be 14 countertops, 3 cabinets, and 4 vanities. So the page 7, our NOI is 322,000. The assessors revised is 327. They had 345 originally. So the effective gross rent after the vacancy is 848, and it peaked in 2015. Sorry, shows our line 8 peaked. It went up to 692, then it went back down. So the line 8, they actually got 666 in 2017. We stabilized at 702, so we're stabilizing out higher than actual, mainly because we're stabilizing the vacancy down from actual. So I believe our stabilization is quite reasonable. And then we end up being cap rate dispute only. That's my report, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wong, do you have questions?
No questions.
No questions, Mr. Swansky?
No.
I have a question, I've forgotten what CapEx is.
Oh, capital expenditures.
Oh, okay.
It's, items that we believe to be
Yes.
non-recurring, and so the Riverbank Civilization Fund, 87,000, is certainly non-recurring. But it was used to get the higher rents of the rent regulations.
So the rental board allowed them to raise the rents because they spent money stabilizing the riverbank?
Yeah. what we're saying, is that you were allowed to increase the rents, and that's why line one, they have these high rents. They're up to 11 rents, legal rents that they can charge, but the market is not accepting that. They have high discounts and high vacancy.
That's all my questions, thank you. Summation?
No.
That concludes the hearing. Thank you very much for the presentation, Mr. Ball, and thank you, Mr. Dupont, for nice information.